Came across a story the other day, thought it would be worth following up on. We talk so much about, Canadians, what's going on here now with respect to Alberta, separation, what's going on in Quebec, but what's going on in America perhaps is even far more interesting because the story suggests a record number of Americans are choosing to leave the U.S., which maybe doesn't come as a huge surprise, but regardless, for the first time in at least 50 years, the United States is reporting it saw more people move out of the country than move in. And to deal with that, there are companies now offering workshops to help people who want to leave and help them streamline the process. One of those is a company called Expatsi. It's an organization that helps Americans learn how they can live abroad. Brett Andrews is a co-founder. He is on the line. Mr. Andrews, thank you for your time today. Let me begin by saying, maybe people are surprised, maybe they're not. This is a relatively new phenomenon. How long have you been actually providing information for Americans who've chosen to make this decision?
Sure. Thanks for having me. So my wife, Jen, and I started Expatsi just over 4 years ago, back in 2022. We've seen a couple of spikes since we started. The first one, of course, was the outlawing of abortion nationwide back in summer of 2022 here in the U.S., and of course the 2024 election when Donald Trump was reelected to office. We've seen a couple of spikes. Those are a couple of the spikes since we began.
Are you seeing now a sudden surge in interest? I mean, Donald Trump's been president once before, and he's only a year into the second term. Are you seeing the numbers really start to scale?
Well, they start to scale over time just because it takes people a fairly long amount of time to actually get moved abroad. Some of our most eager movers, for example, the ones that were at our conference last weekend, even their timeline is roughly 18 to 24 months. For some people, it takes as long as 5 years or more, depending on different life circumstances.
So for the ones who've made a decision, I think you said most people want to leave within 2 years. So they show up at your, you call yours, you actually have a name for your event, right?
Yes, our event is called a Move Abroad Con. We just had our second one in San Diego.
Right, because everybody has to have a con. So you have a Move Abroad Con. And for
That's what they tell us.
Yeah, for people who show up, what sort of information do you offer? What sort of questions do people typically have? And let's cover some of the countries that people are looking at, because I'm sure Canada's on that list.
Canada is certainly on that list. We had a session for Canada. Generally, people are asking things about, well, mainly, can I move to this country? What do the taxes look like there? What are my visa pass involved? Can I get citizenship by ancestry in certain places? I know Canada has really gotten a lot of attention in our community recently with the recent citizenship by ancestry expansion. And so people ask a lot of questions like that. Our most popular countries, I would say, would be Portugal, Spain, Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, and leading into other places like France and Uruguay.
Okay, so if I can deal with Canada, because that's where we are, and you're right, a change recently, of course, allowing, depending on any ancestry you might have had who lived in this country, to make things easier. Are you seeing more of a pickup for people who now know that's the law, or is this news to them?
News is spreading, I think, a bit slowly in regards to the Canada ancestry option, but the people that are hearing about it are very interested. They're looking through their family trees and trying to find out if they have a path because, as you may or may not know, Canada is notoriously challenging to immigrate to. And so any available path that these people can find, especially to our closest neighbor, would be certainly a welcome benefit for them.
And with respect to people asking about Canada, what are the typical questions?
The typical questions are, can I move there? Do I have to speak French? Am I going to be taxed? Am I going to be double taxed on my income? Can I stay there permanently? Can my kids go to school there? Generally, they're asking questions like they want to know about what daily life looks like. Americans have been kind of discouraged culturally from moving abroad for much of our history. And so people are just now waking up to this idea that maybe life does look different, maybe even life could be better somewhere else. And so they want to know, can my daily life fit in there, and can I find a place for myself and my family?
Let me just ask kind of a general question. No, you brought up this idea they want to know if they have to speak French, not realizing, of course, that most of the country does not speak French. I mean, yes, it's a bilingual country, but how much do people actually know from what you're seeing about Canada?
Honestly, I am surprised as an American how little we actually know culturally about the world abroad. I find that much of the Western world in particular really appreciates American culture, but Americans know so little about what goes on outside of it. For example, they think, Canadian healthcare, because it is universal and freely available to everyone, they think, oh, it's going to take me 6, 7, 8 months to get a doctor, and I'm going to die of sepsis because I broke my leg. And these kind of misconceptions are very prevalent. And so we do our best we can to kind of dispel them and put them in touch with people that can help them move forward with their immigration path.
Okay. You don't have any suggesting it's winter here 12 months a year, do you?
No,
Okay.
not quite. But they are concerned, especially people from the south of the U.S., such as myself. We come from Alabama. Worried about the snow and could we handle it, and are we going to freeze to death if we walk outside in Toronto on a random January day?
Okay. Do they know the big? I mean, you say something really interesting. We have border states here, of course, where we are in Montreal, in Vermont, and in New York. So our neighbors there know a great deal about, I think, what goes on here. But I'm imagining for people in the South or people in the West or even Midwest don't have much of a clue. When you have people who want to come here, does it tend to be older people? Or these would be, you'd consider people, say, over the age of 50 who want to make this move? Do you get many young people who are fed up?
The majority of our audience is Gen X, so roughly 56 to early 60s,
Okay.
or 46 to early 60s. And so a lot of those people, and especially on the older side of that, the 50 and up, they do want to retire to Canada because they've heard that Canada's very much like the U.S. in many ways. But they always find that there's not a retirement path to Canada. So Canada is more open to skilled workers and expanding in different industries where you might have a worker shortage. But retirement is very challenging for Americans, especially if they insist on going to a country where they already speak the official language. And so we have to direct them to some other options they might have that would work better for them at above certain ages.
So let me just ask, as we get set to wrap up, with respect to someone in that stage, right, a Gen Xer now considering retirement down the road and not really having an idea of where they want to go, what do you suggest?
We tell everyone the first step you should always take is take the Expatsi test. It's on our website, expatsi.com, EXPATSI. And what our test does is it takes in your unique needs, your budget, the size of your family, what kind of weather, what kind of health care and safety you're looking for. And our test gives you the top 10 countries that match those needs. We find statistically it's the best resource for determining what is going to be the right places for you, because only you know what you want, and the answer is going to change for every single person that ever takes it.
Right,
and take it over 400,000 times.
Right, that would include the budget you have, obviously, to make that move as well. I guess that's one of the keys.
Obviously, retirees in the U.S. they tend to have lower budgets. Canada can have a comparable cost of living to the U.S., if not a bit higher, and so retirees are often looking for a lower cost of living. So we direct them to places like Latin America and Western Europe for those kinds of.
Wait a sec, are you not telling them their American dollars worth at least 30% more in Canada? Did you forget to tell them that?
Well, I did forget to tell them that. I forgot to tell them about the currency conversions. But I think they'd find other challenges that the cold, at the very least, would scare away many people, as lovely as Canada is.
Mr. Andrews, I thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll. We're coming to get you! One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them. It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio.
I'm coming back to you.
Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds good.